Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I'm bringing you a game from the Blackpool Regional Championships. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, regionals have started again in the UK, and they are in the expanded format. Now, Breakpoint is legal at this tournament, so we are in the format of black and white to Breakpoint. The games are 50 minutes, best of 3, and I should say a huge thank you to Stephanie J and Blackpool Card Group for putting on this regional and allowing us to record. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have these lovely videos to show you. So as always, sit back, grab yourself a nice beverage and enjoy this game from Blackpool Expanded Regionals. Black and white to Breakpoint, 50 minutes, best of 3. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so first of all, no Nick on this video, I'm afraid. I do apologise. It was not possible to record it in the time we had together, and I'm afraid he had to go home. So we've got Luke and Corey Kirkham here. Not the first time we have had Kirkham on Kirkham action in the videos here. They are both very high level players. They both tend to be doing well, so they both end up on stream quite a bit. Although this is not a top 8 game. Although Corey has top got 6 tournaments this season, and in 5 tournaments he's had to play Luke in top 8. The odds, ladies and gentlemen, are somewhat astronomical. So Corey is playing an Yveltal deck. We see him playing an Ultra Ball, discarding 2 Dark Energy to get a Fright Knight Yveltal. And we see a Fighting Fury belt going down onto the Yveltal EX in the active. And we see a Hooper coming down. And Corey will be using his ability to search for free EX Pokemon. So we see a Caldeo coming down. He's of course got the ability Rush In that allows him to jump into the active. So you'll want to put a Floatstone on Caldeo and he can jump into the active and then out again as you wish. And he also goes for a Shaman. Now, that Fright Knight Yveltal is interesting. We'll get to him as we go. Now, Luke is going to be playing Scizor. Now, in the St. Austell City Championships games that I put up recently, I showed you a Mega Scizor deck. And we all got very excited and we all wanted to see it. And then it turned out, actually, the deck didn't do very well and we didn't get to see much of Scizor. Now, Luke is an exceptional player. We've seen him... Oh, turn 1 gets this. Oh, it's not actually that impressive. Gets this basically allows you to look at your opponent's hand, they shuffle any item cards they have into their deck and you draw that many cards. With some opening hands, a turn 1 gets this is crippling. Although we see Luke actually had a turn 1 gets this of his own ready to go. So, we didn't get to see Scizor in all its glory at St. Austell City Championships, so now at Blackpool Regional Championships, we're going to get to see it a lot better. So there's an energy on the Fright Knight Yveltal, there is a Fighting Fury belt on the Yveltal EX, that's the new, the new tool card that gives you plus 40 HP, putting it up to 210 in total, and allows all of your attacks to do 10 more damage. So Luke drops a Jirachi EX, and this is going to allow him to search his deck and grab any supporter card he likes, which we had a quick gander at his hand. It could well end up being a Sycamore, just to draw as many cards as he can. Now, that Fright Knight Yveltal is interesting. It needs free energy to attack. It needs both a double colorless and a dark, or indeed free dark. And what it allows you to do is 60 damage to the active and 60 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon EX. It's also, and there we go, it's a Juniper, not a Sycamore. I'm a fan of this. I've always preferred Juniper. So, it's also got an ability that while it's active, any tools on the field essentially do nothing, which can be very useful indeed. So, this is a very underrated card. It's a card we didn't see all that much of. And certainly when I was talking to my podcast, PTCGRadio, I don't think I made as much of a deal of this as I could. It is superbly good at getting quick, efficient KOs, especially in a format where your opponent, most people here are playing a Shaman EX that has 110 HP and a Jirachi EX that has 90. We can already see Luke's got both on the field, though he did start with a Shaman, which is not ideal, and Corey's got a Shaman down. So you see here that 2 attacks with Fright Night Yveltal can actually be taking 4 prizes. And we're starting to see, like Tamao in the previous round, we're starting to see some of these Yveltal decks actually go ahead and start prioritising Fright Night Yveltal instead. Now, we saw off that Sycamore, Luke actually drew 3 Scizor Spirit Links, which is, shall we say, less than ideal. So he's going to get a Hooper here, because, of course, why search for a Scizor when you can grab a Hooper and grab 3 Scizor? Or more likely a Scizor, a Mega Scizor, and I would say a Shaman, but he's already got 1 active, so no, just 2 Scizor. I wouldn't be surprised to see him grab a Mega here. We know he's got a couple Spirit Link in hand, so this can kind of guarantee him a Mega Scizor next turn if he wants it. Nope, he's gone for Caldeo instead. Both of these players are expecting, and to be honest, they're brothers. They know what each other's playing. So they know each other's playing the Hypnotoxic Laser. Well, we know Luke is. We've already seen when we assume Corey is as well. I mean, Luke must think he is. Although, to be perfectly honest, maybe he's just gone and grabbed the Keldeo so that he can rush in and retreat just to get that Shaman out of the active. Of course, we're missing an obvious point here, and I say we, I mean me. Scizor for 2 energy does 50 damage, or if he became active this turn, 110 damage for 2 energy. So, of course, having a Keldeo that can rush in and retreat, meaning Scizor always comes active that turn, and always does 110 for 2 energy, that's pretty gosh darn good. And to be honest, that's far more of a reason to play it. Also, Corey not having the best of hands there, but he's got a Juniper, and as bad as your hand is, if you can play a Juniper and draw 7 more cards, it's not the end of the world. Now, Luke had an energy there for his Scizor. He also played a Hypnotoxic Laser. He put that Yveltal to sleep, and the Yveltal stayed asleep. Now, Corey can, of course, rush in with Caldeo EX, but he's then got to find a Floatstone to retreat it. And as if adding insult to injury, Corey plays a Laser but doesn't hit heads. So Luke hits a heads on Laser, Corey hits a tails, and then Corey hits a tails on his own Laser. And that's just a bit mean. Corey is not having the best of these flips here, but it is still early doors. So Scizor EX really relies on efficient damage. 2 energy, 110 if he came active that turn, and of course, as I've already said, we want to be trying to use Caldeo EX to make sure that he always comes active that turn. So we do see a dark patch there. That was what was so good about... Oh, and he's still asleep, the Yveltal. And he's still flipping. Yeah, they are now still flipping. And he's finally woken up going into Luke's turn. Not ideal. But we see a dark patch there. That was what was so good about Corey being able to discard 2 of those energy with Ultra Ball early game. Because it allowed him to, get them in the discard so that he could use Dark Patch to then put them onto Yveltal. Oh, so an interesting one there. Luke could have gone for a Sycamore. Instead, he goes for an AZ, picks the Shaman out of the active, and then drops it to draw 6 more cards. Although he's got a full bench, and it doesn't look like he's got any energy. Maybe he can find a Professor's Letter here? Nope, nothing of the sort, unfortunately. So Luke is not having both players are having good but not great setups. We're seeing from both players here. One's staying asleep a turn too late. One's drawing 3 Spirit Links off a Sycamore, or Juniper. I have no sympathy for them because they're not having a Supporter Drought, so, Oh, now there's an interesting card. We see Luke scoop up Cyclone there. And that's going to allow him to pick up that Shaman and draw more cards, which would then potentially allow him to get that second energy that he needs. Instead, he goes for the prudent play, which is going ahead and getting a Floatstone, which presumably we think will be going on to the Keldeo here, so that he can be doing that rush in and retreat whenever he likes. So it looks like it's just going to be the first attack that does 20 damage and reduces any damage done the following turn by 20. Not the end of the world by any stretch. Now, Mega Scizor, we do see an end coming down from Corey here. Both players shuffle their hands into their decks and draw to their remaining prizes. Neither player's taken a prize. Both have 6 remaining. They draw to 6. So Mega Scizor, if it's got 2 energy, does 120 damage. And you have a choice of discarding one of your opponent's active Pokemons, Special Energy, or a Stadium in play. Although it says you may, so I believe that means you actually don't have to. It's giving you a choice. Isn't that nice? Because, of course, you might not want to discard the Stadium you've got in play. So, we do see a Muscle Band coming down onto the Yveltal here, and that's what Corey's going to want to do. Now, one of the advantages Scizor has against Yveltal is that it doesn't have all that much damage, much energy on it. Yveltal EX, of course, does 20 damage, plus 20 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So, Corey wants to really try and build up a whole bunch of energy on it. And as I've been talking, I think they're trying to decide if an extra energy was actually attached here. And apparently they've decided it has. I'm going to be honest, I lost count for a second there. This is why it was better doing it with Nick, because it was nice and easy when there's two people watching. But apparently he did attach an extra one. As always, I'll go and have a look at the end, and I'll put a little appendix on the end, if I remember, of course, to try and decide. So there goes the Mega, and look, Corey here has really got two choices. Either he can try and go aggro Yveltal EX and just try and get one-hit KOs on all the Scizors. Of course, Scizor's got 220 HP and is only adding 40 damage, so that's going to take a while. Or he can go Fright Knight Yveltal and try and kill all of his EXs that way. Problem with that, of course, is that Fright Knight Yveltal, if I remember correctly, has 130 HP, which means Luke does 120 with Mega Scizor, plays a laser, and then all of a sudden we've got 130 damage, Fright Knight Yveltal goes down, and it's going to take, 2-3 Fright Knight Yveltal to get some damage going. Now, we do see a laser heads here, which is quite useful. Now, Yveltal is currently going to be doing 160, which combined with a laser goes up to 190, so he's going to need a couple of Dark Patches to get the KO. Yes, that is correct. So we've got a total, we've got 6 energy, 120, plus the 20 normal is 140, plus the Muscle Band is 160, plus the laser is 190, although, now a Hex Maniac here would be beautiful. If he could get a Hex Maniac here, then that would stop Caldea rushing in, and that would mean that Scizor would die of poison going into Corey's turn, allowing Corey the first hit on whatever else came up. Unfortunately, that is not the basis. That's not what's going to happen here, which is somewhat disappointing. Well, for Corey, any road, because Luke is just going to rush in with Caldea and retreat. So it's going to be doing 190. It's going to be leaving Scizor. Oh no, this is a nice little play here. So actually, he's choosing to do Y Cyclone for 110, 140 when you add in the laser damage, and put the energy on Fright Knight Yveltal so that he can use his attack next turn. The disappointing part of that, of course, is that there's going to be more than 60 HP remaining on Mega Scizor, because he's going to be on 140, which means he's got 80 HP left. If Corey's got a laser next turn, he's going to actually be able to hit the Scizor for 60, kill it with poison, and then do 60 either to the Jirachi or to the Shaman on the bench, setting himself up for another 2 prizes with a Fright Knight Yveltal the following turn, which is going to allow him to really jump ahead in the prize race potentially. So there is an argument here that Luke would actually be good to try and do the attack and discard the Burbank City Gym so that Corey needs a Burbank City Gym of his own to get the KO next turn. Although, that's a heck of a gamble, giving up 20 damage when your opponent might have the Burbank City Gym anyway. So we see a heads-on laser, though it is, of course, entirely irrelevant. And Caldea rushes in and retreats, and we see a total of 150 damage, and flip for sleep, but it's all irrelevant, essentially. Unless Luke played a Hex Maniac, which I'm not entirely sure that he did. So we see an Ultra Ball coming down here, and maybe it's for a Shaman to draw more cards, or maybe it's for a second Fright Night Yveltal. Because you get the feeling, now I don't know how many Fright Night Yveltal he's playing, it might be the one. You get the feeling in this matchup that Fright Night Yveltal could be incredibly useful. Because like I say, if he's got a laser here, he's going to be able to KO the Scizor. Oh no, sorry, I think there might have been a Pokemon Center Lady the previous turn. This is what happens when you're trying to explain everything and follow along. It is very frustrating at times, but I forgive myself. So, Corey here, he's trying to work out the damage. He's trying to work out if he's going to be getting the KO. And now we see a VS Seeker coming down, and he gets whatever he wants. He chooses to play an N, which of course makes a bit of sense. Corey is a couple of prizes down, and actually, he is very much in danger here of potentially of this game finishing before it starts almost. I mean, really, that Fright Night Yveltal is incredibly useful for Corey. It allows him to take multiple prizes. Now, the 220 HP of the Mega Scizor can be a pain, and of course, you're not against a deck that plays Keldeo and Floatstone. It can be very difficult to get something stuck in the active, as it were. But certainly, being able to take 2 prizes in 2 turns on top of your regular attack can be incredibly useful. So we do see the end coming down from Corey there. He gets to draw 6 cards. Luke has to only draw 4. And we do see an energy switch here onto the Yveltal, and it looks like we're going to be going for another Y Cyclone here. Unless he's got a laser. But it doesn't look like he does. So Caldeo's going to rush in here, take it all off, and then he's going to retreat. It looks like there's only 60 damage on that Scizor now. Although I could be wrong. Looks like there's just 60 damage. Oh no, that's not a muscle band, sorry. That is a Fighting Fury bout on that Yveltal EX. So here we're going to be doing, well, there's 5 energy, which is 100. Add the 20 is 120. Add one, oh, it's just Y Cyclone, which does okay. So one of the, okay. I should explain at this stage I'm colorblind. I didn't think Luke had played a Pokemon Center Lady, but it was the only thing I could think of because I couldn't see the second dice. It was transparent and hiding. You'll have to forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. I am colorblind, and I couldn't see that second dice on the full art Scizor. That makes me feel better because I hadn't seen the Pokemon Center Lady, and that was very confusing. So he hadn't played a Pokemon Center Lady. I was correct. There was 110 damage on there. 140, I should say. So the Y Cyclone for 100 went and got the KO nice and easily. So now they've taken 2 prizes each. We know what's going on in the game, and I can see all the dice on Corey's side of the field. And that makes me very happy indeed. However, oh no, sorry, we just saw a very quick attack on Luke's part. That end seems to have done the trick for Corey. He's got 120 damage on that Yveltal, but that's not the end of the world. Because he's got the Caldea that can rush in and retreat. Now, he's trying to work out the damage here. With the Yveltal on the bench, we've got a total of 6 damage, which is 120. Add the 20 normal is 140. Add the 20 for the muscle band is 160. Add the DCE is 200. Add the dark patch is 220. Oh my goodness gracious me, ladies and gentlemen. This is a big KO. The combination there of big Yveltal EXs and that N, that is enough damage. That is a lovely play from Corey there. He's worked out that maths beautifully. And that could well be the game, ladies and gentlemen. That could be the thing that pushes it over the edge so that Corey ends up getting the win here. It's going to be very difficult for Luke to come back from this. Because the other thing is, both Scizor and Mega Scizor both rely on having 2 energy attached to them. And of course, if we look at the moment, we have 0 energy on Luke's side of the field. What I mean to say is, this turn, Luke is going to have a maximum of 1 energy on whatever Scizor goes up. Now, it's not the end of the world, because we see 150 damage on the Yveltal EX. And the Verbank City Gym has gone now. Ladies and gentlemen, I might have spoken too soon. That was beautiful. What happened there was Luke dropped that Absol, which allows you to move, I believe, 3 damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another. And I said how that Yveltal, I believe, had 30 HP remaining. So Luke drops the Absol, uses the ability to move 3 damage counters from the Yveltal to the other Yveltal, gets the KO in the middle of the turn. And that is wonderful. Now, here's an interesting thing. That Caldeo would usually have free retreat by virtue of the Float Stone. But of course, Fright Knight Yveltal turns off the effects of all of your opponent's tools, which means that Caldeo right now does not have free retreat. Which means Luke's got to find some other way to get it out of the active. And let's not forget, 2 attacks from Fright Knight Yveltal, and Corey gets a KO either on the Jirachi or on the Shaman, either is good, and wins the game. So some really high-level play from both players here. I believe a few turns ago, Luke actually used Scizor's attack to get rid of the Verbank City Gym to force Corey to have a whole bunch of energy to get the KO. And that's the kind of pro play I like to see. It's the play, in fact, which I suggested a couple turns before. Using Scizor to get rid of the Verbank City Gym to make it more difficult for your opponent to hit the numbers that they need using energy and poison from Hypnotoxic Laser. Because let's not forget, as I keep saying, that 220 HP Scizor, it's very difficult to get a KO if you're Corey. It takes a lot of energy. We saw how much energy it took. Of course, Luke could not have known how many energy Corey was going to get that turn to go ahead and get the KO. It really was quite ludicrous. But Luke had that awesome play of his own with the Absol, moving the damage to KO the Yveltal to make sure that he was able to go ahead and, get the KO mid-turn. And it wasn't just the taking 2 prizes, although obviously the taking prizes was key. It was the fact that he was able to take... Oh, now that's a nice card. That's going to help. It was the fact that he was able to take that Yveltal off the field, because the amount of damage, the amount of energy that Yveltal had, it was not going to take very long for Luke to be able to go ahead and get a KO there. Corey to get a KO using the big Yveltal. Oh, and there we go. Lysander on the Jirachi, Y-Cyclone for 90, and we get the KO. And Corey takes game 1. So we see that I like this matchup. Now, firstly, I wanted to get these 2 guys on stream because they're lovely people and they're excellent players. And we saw that it was quite a fast-paced game. I know there were a couple little things that took me a minute to actually point out. It was quite a fast-paced game at times. On my previous video, someone suggested running the games at double speed and commentating over them. On the one hand, I can see the point of that. On the other hand, it can sometimes, when these players are playing quite fast, it can be quite difficult to see everything, at normal speed. So double speed, not something we're going to be doing for a little while here. I think we're going to keep it at normal speed. So we saw it's a real back and forth matchup, and it really could go either way. Luke's basically 2-hitting everything in Corey's deck. I say that. I mean, he's 2-hit KOing the EXs, and he's 1-hit KOing Shaman EX. He doesn't really count. He's only got 110 HP. And if he can find a laser, Fright Knight Yveltal. Corey, for his part, has actually got 2 potential routes to victory. Route number 1, using Fright Knight Yveltal to take extra prizes off bench Shaman and Jirachi. Route number 2, big Yveltal EX is getting the KOs. And there's upside and downsides to both. The up knight to using Fright Knight Yveltal is that he takes more prizes more quickly. The downside is it's much easier, I should say, for Luke to go ahead and get the KO just using either Scizor or Mega Scizor along with a Hypnotoxic Laser. However, if he uses a big Yveltal EX, then he gets a big KOs on the Scizor, potentially, as we saw in the previous game, but he gives up 2 prizes by doing so when they get KO'd, and he has to, as well as giving up the prizes, he has to get all the energy on there, and he's taking 2 prizes at a time. Although, as we saw in the previous game, that one big Yveltal really did make a difference. So, it's proper touch and go here. Now, you see a nice bit of sportsmanship from both players. They're not cutting each other's decks. I mean, for goodness sake, ladies and gentlemen, they are brothers. If they were cutting each other's decks and accusing of cheating, it would be a very sad world we were living in indeed. I'll see Luke here. Now, I like to point out when other people have bad luck, because when I commentate my own games and point out my own bad luck, people, they judge me for it. But in game 1, Luke started Lone Shaman, and in game 2, he's starting Lone Jirachi. These are not the starters you want, ladies and gentlemen. This is unfortunate to say the least. So, what we have here is Luke, he's playing an Ultra Ball. And there's a couple of potential targets, but I would imagine, assuming it's not prized or already in his hand, I would imagine to see him getting a Hooper here. Ah, there we go, yeah. And presumably a Shaman as well if he needs to draw any cards. So, and there we go, yes. You can see Luke's got a very shiny full art deck, which is not good when you use transparent dice, Luke. Just putting it out there. So he uses an Ultra Ball, searches for Hooper, uses Hooper's ability to grab 2 Scizor and a Shaman. And he's going to be able to use that to get some more cards. Not many. He's already got a hand of 5. He's only getting 2 from Shaman here. Now, what would be ideal for Luke? He wants to do what Corey did. They're both energy. He wants a turn 1 gets this. Oh, he's got the turn 1 gets this. Oh, that's not the end of the world. Luke's getting 4 cards, but Corey's got a Chorus, which allows him to shuffle his hand into his deck and draw a number of cards equal to both players' bench Pokemon. So he's got 4 there from Luke's 4 bench Pokemon. Now, it's like being judged on turn 1, but it's an awful lot better than not. If he didn't have the Chorus there, that would have been a brutal gets this. And let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that Corey had a laser in hand, at least a laser in hand, and Luke's got a Burbank City Gym down on the field. Okay. That's a play. So what he's going to do here is use the Ultra Ball, and presumably, he's going to do what Luke did, get a Hooper, probably to get an Yveltal, a Shaman, and maybe even a second Yveltal EX. Now, the other bonus of this is that now Corey's got a Chorus in his discard pile. Has he got the Shaman in hand? There we go, and he's got a Caldeo. So the Caldeo there, he's going for the Russian retreat. Now, the bonus of this is that if Corey draws into a VS Seeker, that is, of course, the item card that allows you to grab a supporter from your discard pile and put it into your hand, what he's going to be able to do, if he grabs a VS Seeker here, he's actually going to be able to grab a Chorus, and he's got it there, and that's going to be a Chorus for 8. So actually, this has worked out very well indeed. He got top deck the Ultra Ball, was a nice top deck. Oh, and the float's done on the Caldea, so we can do this. And he's got the laser. This is nice, ladies and gentlemen. So that turn 1 gets this could have been a crippling play here. But it's actually worked out quite nicely. Now, one of the things that a turn 1 gets this can do for your opponent, as it kind of did there for Corey, it can actually empty their hand of trainers so that something like an Ultra Ball for a Shaman or for a Hooper for a Shaman actually draws you more cards because you don't have your hand gummed up by trainers. So it can actually sometimes be a bit of a blessing in disguise. So a really nice turn one from Corey here. I was just about to say he needs to get some energy on the field. But he got the Hooper, and he got the Yveltal, and he got the Keldeo, and he got the Floatstone, and he got the Laser, and he hit heads. Not that it really... Well, no. Luke doesn't have the Keldeo of his own yet, so it might matter. Oh, and it's still a Tails. This could be a cheeky couple of prizes for Corey here. Assuming that Luke doesn't hit an AZ, or we've seen that his A-Spec is Scoop Up Cyclone. Has he got it in hand? Everything in his deck's so shiny, it's hard to figure out what's what. No, it's a Hypnotoxic Laser. Now, oh, he's got an AZ though, so that's nice. So now the Scizor goes active, and as a nice little bonus here, that Jirachi is now no longer on his side of the field, causing issues. And we see a Laser, and we see a Heads. Not that it matters, of course, because we know that Corey's got the Keldeo Floatstone on his bench, so he's going to be able to rush in and retreat and essentially undo the damage that has been done. Although, Scizor's attack, remember it does 110 if he becomes active that turn. So actually that's 140 in one go, which is pretty gosh darn good. Now we do see the Fighting Fury belt going onto the Darkrai there. And that's quite important because it gives him a little more HP. It means he's now gone from 40 HP remaining to 80. And we see a Juniper coming down. And the question is, can Corey mount some kind of big attack here? Now, there's no danger of that Yveltal being KO'd next turn. Mega Scizor does 140. Plus Laser Verbank goes up 120, sorry, plus Laser Verbank goes up to 150, which is still 20 damage away from being KO'd. Now, we do see a computer search coming down here from Corey. Maybe trying to go for an energy for the Yveltal if he... I don't think he's attached this turn. I believe that was last turn. Yes, it was. So maybe going for a DCE for the Yveltal so we can get a bit of a Y-Cyclone going on. Although if you do want to be using Y-Cyclone, doing 90 damage and popping an energy to your bench Pokemon, that is much more effective when you've got two Yveltal and you can kind of Y-Cyclone between them. Especially when you've got a Keldeo EX and a Floatstone, so you can essentially... you know, rush in, retreat, and then you've got the Yveltal with the 2 energy on, ready to go. Now, we're currently doing 70 for the Yveltal, plus 40 for the Scizor is 110. Plus the 30 for the Laser is 140. But does he have an energy? Is he allowed to play an energy? It's all a moot point anyway. So we're doing 140 here in total. Now that is a very significant number because Scizor EX has 170 HP. And that means that Scizor now... yeah, it should be on 140, not 120. Is it on 140? Or is there a transparent dice that I can't see again? There's every possibility. So we got 4 energy is 80. Add the 20 normal from Yveltal is 100. Add the 10 for Fighting Fury Bout is 110. Add the 30 for Poison is 140. And that means that Scizor will die from Poison coming into Corey's turn unless Luke can get him out of the active. And that's going to put Corey up by 2 prizes very, very quickly. Now, Luke does have an Ultra Ball there. So presumably he's going to be able to use a Keldeo to rush in and retreat here. Or at least rush in. Just get that Scizor out the active. Or indeed get a Mega Scizor. And we all know that Mega Scizor, it's Mega Evolving, which means it's evolving. Which means it gets rid of both the sleep and the poison. And ups Scizor's HP. So we could well here just see a Mega Scizor coming down. And that's going to help quite immensely. Oh, whenever you see somebody pausing that long when they're discarding a card using Ultra Ball, you know it's a difficult decision. You know it's a decision that they don't really want to make, but they kind of have to. And yeah, we do see the Mega Scizor here, and I like this play from Luke. I like that he gets to evolve the Mega Scizor, he takes away the poison, he takes away the sleep, and he gets to do 120 damage. He could get rid of Verbank, but he's got the laser there, so he's clearly not going to. Now, that Fighting Fury Belt is actually going to save Yveltal here. It does look like it... Oh, no, there is another dice there. I hate that transparent dice. It's really difficult to see on top of Mega Scizor. Now, that Fighting Fury... Oh, let's say it's going to save. He's got Caldeo Floatstone, so it's a moot point. So that Caldeo Floatstone is going to really help him. But Corey's floundering a little bit here. What does he do? Now, he can get the KO. Just rush in, retreat, and then use Evil Ball for 110, which will get the KO. But then... he needs another attacker with an energy on, and he needs it now. Now, Luke, for his part, didn't get an energy on that benched Scizor, which is pretty significant, because it means, again, he's hitting for 20 damage next turn. Now, some Mega Scizor decks do play Mega Turbo, which allows you to take a basic energy from your discard and attach it to one of your Mega Evolved Pokemon. Just see a rush in and retreat there. But I don't know that Luke's playing that here. And certainly if he is, we haven't seen it yet. So Corey's going to get the KO. He's going to get the KO with Y-Cyclone, it looks like. Oh no, he's taking a gamble. Because he was doing 110, and Scizor was on 140, so he had the KO without that DCE attachment. So he's taken a little bit of a gamble here. Now, Yveltal's on 150 HP. Or 150 damage. There goes the Enhanced Hammer. Now, with the Fighting Fury bout, which puts him on 210, it means he's essentially got 60 HP left. Which actually leaves him kind of safe here. Because Luke can do 20 with Scizor, and he can play a laser to do another 30, but that'll do 50 and put him on 200 total, which isn't enough to get the KO. Now, if Luke, and it's a lot to ask for, and we've already seen he's played a supporter for the turn, but if he were to play something like Xerosic Laser Energy, he could actually get the KO by using Xerosic to discard the Fighting Fury Belt and then putting the Yveltal. Well, he wouldn't even need a laser, actually. Just Xerosic and an attack would get the KO. Of course, Corey's going to know Luke's deck list. He probably thought it was a fairly safe play to make. And putting the DCE on the Yveltal, he's just building up a big Yveltal. He's trying to make it more likely that he's going to be able to get a big KO next turn. And it's an extra 40 damage, that DCE. So had Luke not had that... Had Luke not had the Enhanced Hammer, that would have really helped Corey to try and hit those big numbers. So we do see a laser coming down. Remember, any damage done to Scizor this turn will be reduced by 20. So he's only actually currently doing... Oh, quite a lot, actually. So, essentially, the 20 reduced from Scizor and the 20 basic from Yveltal cancel each other out. So, we've got 5 energy is 100. Add the 10 for Fighting Fury Belt is 110. Add the laser is 140. Not 160 because Scizor attacked last turn and damage done is reduced by 20 on the following turn. And it's done to Scizor by attacks, i.e. Scizor's got to go out the active to take it away, not Yveltal. So we've got 6 energy total is 120. Add the Fighting Fury Belt is 130. Add the laser is 160. So he needs 1 more energy. That attack has actually saved Luke a KO here. Although it's going to be close. So, we have, like I say, essentially the 20 regular from Yveltal is cancelled out by the Scizor attack. So you just count the energy. 6 energy is 120. Fighting Fury Bout is 130. Laser is 160. It's not got the KO yet. He's going to need a Dark Patch. If he hits a Dark Patch, that is 1 big KO. If he whiffs the Dark Patch, then that leaves the door open for Luke to try and get some kind of fancy KO. Maybe using a Zerosic and a laser, or a Zerosic and, well, actually he doesn't need a Zerosic. Actually, I meant he doesn't need the energy. Because if we look at Yveltal there, he's already on 170 damage. He's being saved from a KO by the Fighting Fury Bout. We see Corey here is digging. He wants that Dark Patch. He wants that KO. And he doesn't have it, so he's only doing 160. Now, it does mean that Scizor will die of poison coming into Corey's turn unless Luke can evolve it or get it out of the active, but he's not got the KO. 6 energy is 120. Add the Fury Bout is 130. Add the laser is 160. The 20 base damage is taken away by the fact that Scizor attacked, reducing 20 damage the following turn. And Corey sees this. He knows it's not the KO, so he doesn't want to put all his eggs in one basket. So he's going to go for a much smaller KO here. So now we're seeing 140. And this is actually a really clever play from Corey here. He's not got the KO. And 140 here is the same as 160. Oh, and Luke's got the Zerosic in hand. So he can play the Zerosic to get rid of the Fighting Fury Belt. And then Yveltal will be KO'd in the middle of Luke's turn. Now we see the Mega Revolution. Now the good play from Corey was essentially that if Luke didn't get him out the active or Mega Evolve, this could be potentially a 4-prize turn from Luke here. It's not going to be a 4-prize turn, but it's still going to be pretty tasty. So, the Scizor was on 140 after moving the energy. So what Corey could have done there, if the Scizor doesn't evolve or go out the active, then he would actually die of poison going into Corey's turn, whether Corey did 160 or 140. So moving the energy away with Energy Switch was a real heads-up play from Corey there. He didn't need that energy, so he got rid of it. Luke there plays as a Zerosic to get rid of that Fighting Fury Belt. Oh, this is a wonderful turn from Luke. This is one of those turns you dream about and you can see how complex Luke's deck can be. What he did was he used the Zerosic to get rid of the Fighting Fury Bout to take 2 prizes. Then he used the Absol to move 30 damage from one of the bench Pokemon to the Hooper to bring his HP down to 150. Now when he plays a laser, that will put him down to 120, which means that the attack from Scizor to do 120 will get the KO. He's down to 2 prizes. Corey has no energy. Oh, and he top stacks that Dark Patch with a very next card. Now, okay, we are going to see, it looks like we might see a KO from Corey here. Because he's going to be able to do, it looks like, oh, it doesn't matter what tool's on that Yveltal. If it's a Fighting Fury Belt or a Muscle Band, he only needs to do 100 damage here. So, there is no tool on there, sorry. But he's doing 120 with Evil Ball. So he's got the KO on that Scizor. But that was a brilliant 4-prize swing from Luke there. Now, the brilliant thing here is, if we look at that Darkrai, that Darkrai is he on 170? I think that Darkrai might be on 170, which means he's just got 30 HP remaining. So an Energy and a Lysander gets the KO from Luke. Or even, any attack on any Pokemon coupled with something like an AZ to pick up the Absol to move the damage. So we are going to see a KO from Corey here. Now, Yeah, now he's gonna have to use Evil Ball here because he's only doing 90 with. Now, assuming there isn't a transparent dice which I can't see. Wait, is that a KO? It looked like he was doing 90 and a Mega Scizor. Am I getting Mega Scizor's HP wrong? Has Mega Scizor actually got 100 and 210 HP? Maybe he does, in which case he did get the KO, and I apologize. So, oh, even a Lysander and a Laser here. Or a Laser followed up by an attack with. It is 220 Mega Scizor, so I'm a little bit confused about that. It looked like Mega Scizor had 120, and Corey used Y-Cyclone for 90 to get the KO, which will only put him on 210. This is going to have to be something else that we check at the end of the video. I'm going to be a busy boy, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I like this play from Luke here. He's only doing 20 damage, but remember, he only needs to do 20 damage. Has he got that? Oh, and he's got a VS Seeker in hand. So, next turn, Luke can either Lysander the Darkrai and KO it, or even he can VS Seeker for an AZ, pick up the Absol, and move the damage from the Yveltal to the Darkrai. He has a choice of attack, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Corey here knows that 2 attacks with Fright Night Yveltal will get the win. But now if Luke has got an energy and... Oh, we need an energy, an EX, and a laser, actually, which is quite a lot to ask for. Oh, we see a Gets This. And that's huge, because the 2 VS Seeker, they were his win condition, ladies and gentlemen. They now go back into the deck, and that's pretty big. Because Luke had the game in hand. He could either AZ for the Absol or... And now, Luke is on a 1-turn clock. Either he gets the win this turn, or he doesn't. It's as simple as that. Because Luke is going to be able... Now, we see the Mega Scizor, but that's kind of irrelevant, because Corey can knock out... Oh, Luke's going to have to play a Pokemon Center Lady here to heal the bench Shaman just to buy him one more turn. If he doesn't play the Pokemon Center Lady, it's all over. There we go. So Luke buys himself a turn here, potentially, and he does 120 and gets rid of the DCE on Fright Night Yveltal. So that's a really good play from Luke there. Now... Corey is going to need a DCE, and even that won't get him the win. So now he's back to using Yveltal EX. And when I was talking early game about does he go Yveltal EX, does he go Fright Night Yveltal, you've got to bear in mind that using Fright Night Yveltal can be a problem when your opponent's discarding all of your double colourless. So Corey did take the win away from Luke there with that Xerosic, but we saw Luke kind of help himself out. So, Corey here, I mean, really, maybe he goes Yveltal EX here? I mean, if he's got the second energy, yeah, it's not going to get the KO yet. It's only going to do 100, which isn't enough. It's only going to do 100 for 2 energy. But it's still... Again, now Luke is back on that 1-turn clock. He needs something this turn. Oh, he's got to scoop up Cyclone. And there goes the Absol. Moves the damage onto the Darkrai. Onto the Darkrai. And that is game 2 to Luke. So we see a mulligan from Corey here. Luke is going to be able to draw an extra card when Corey has a basic. So while we're here, I should give a huge thank you to Stephanie J, who was running Blackpool Regionals, and to everyone who was involved. Wonderful, wonderful people. Lovely place. And... yeah, they made it really easy for us to record, and I always appreciate that. Not just letting us to record, but just making it really, really easy. So we do see a computer search coming down from Corey here, and he's getting rid of a couple of trainers, and he's going to be grabbing, I mean, it might even something like a Getsis here? No, bit early for a Getsis. Shaman hoping to get a Getsis later on. Now, Luke's finally started Scizor. Game 3, and he finally gets to start a Scizor. Now we see a Laser Verbank. That's a very nice start. And we see a Shaman coming down. He's going to draw some more cards. Now, it looks like Luke's hand is not great. We do see a Fright Night Yveltal, and we see a Shaman. Now, usually, I mean, we know that Luke plays Enhanced Hammer, so generally, we wouldn't encourage somebody to attach a DCE on turn 1 under such circumstances. But, of course, here, we see that Corey has 2 DCE in hand, and he doesn't have any basic Dark, and under those circumstances, we can understand it. We do need to put those 3 damage counters on the Scizor here. Oh, and then we see a laser for the Hooper. Starting Hooper, by the way, not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. Not only is it then in your deck, but you can't use it. So, what's Corey got? He's got a laser, he's got a floatstone. No, I think there's another blooming transparent dice on that Scizor. I am not a fan of these transparent dice, ladies and gentlemen. They make me sad. Luke, if you're watching in future, if I put you on stream, and let's face it, I'm going to put you on stream again at some point, stop it with a transparent dice. Just stop it. We don't need it. Get over it. Just putting it out there. So, time has been called. And that's 3 Dark Patch in the discard. So time has been called. We don't have a resolution. It's a draw. What can you do? 2 good players. Both played well. I mean, Luke was actually got a little lucky there because he was not drawing very well. But this is what happens. I'm going to have a quick look at a couple of plays. I might put a little appendix on the end if need be. As always, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like it. Will take a second. Like it. If you liked it, good. Make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and of course, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so a little appendix just at the end of this game here, just to clear a couple of things up. In terms of the energy attachment, I've watched it back, and it looks like there was no energy attachment last turn. It looked like at the beginning of the turn, Corey had 2 energy on an Yveltal EX, 1 on a Fright Night Yveltal. It looks like he did not attach an energy prior, so he was stopped from attaching an energy that turn. However, I would like to remind you of 2 very important things. Firstly, that it is very difficult on stream. There's extra pressure added, there's extra stress. It is very easy to make mistakes on stream, as we see both in games that I record and games we see even on the official Pokémon stream. We see a whole bunch of problems. Secondly, it had no material difference in the outcome of the game. Corey still won, so it worked quite nicely. It was all good. Now, regarding the potentially Phantom KO'd in Game 2, there was no Phantom KO. There was 140 on the Mega Scizor, not 120. So a 90 damage Y Cyclone would get the KO. Literally, there was another one of those stupid transparent dice. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I basically can't see them. They are essentially invisible to me, which is upsetting, but these things happen. Feel free to hold it against me, but I'm colorblind, and do you want to discriminate against a man with a disability? You wouldn't be that mean, would you? Nobody would. As always, it's nice to be able to sit here at the end and clear things up. Now I think we're up to speed. There wasn't an energy attachment at all, let alone a double one. And there was a KO on the Mega Scizor, but Luke was using stupid transparent dice. And I'm going to Norwich Regionals with Luke this weekend, and I'm going to find those dice, and I'm going to burn them. Thank you very much for watching. Look after yourselves till next time.